Welcome everybody. I'm Tony Pellegrino and thank you for joining me today. This is part of a Facebook Live Tech Talk that we do every Tuesday and Thursday, today being Thursday. It is January 7th of 2021. Wow, hard to believe already. There's our 4 o'clock train on cue. We're going to give everybody a minute here to get on. I guess we've been starting a little too quick and not enough people have a chance to get on. So if you missed last Tuesday's Facebook Live Tech Talk, I had R1 here as a guest. They're the guys that do our really trick brakes for Jordan and I, and the brakes that we sell to you guys through our website. So if you're not familiar with that, you're going to want to get over there and check that. And if you missed last week or last Tuesday's show, not this week, last Tuesday's show, go check it out. You can still watch it and listen to all the questions that got asked and see all the responses. I also posted the video that I was trying to show you guys. It's over on YouTube, the full-length version of the school between Tommy and I. It's a 360 camera, absolutely bitchin' footage. And you're going to want to check that out. That's over on YouTube, and there's plenty of links. Or you can just go to the GenRight YouTube and find it in the videos over there. So once again, good afternoon. I'm Tony Pellegrino, and thank you for joining us for our normal Tech Talk on Tuesday and Thursday. Today, I have lots of cool stuff. I've got some brand new GenRight products to show you. And then we're going to talk about winches, namely the Warn winches. Warn is that brand that everybody knows is synonymous with winches. It's the winch I've always used, and we're going to talk about that. Today I've got Jamie and Alex here in the studio with me. I'm not sure where Debbie is to read questions, so maybe Jamie can handle that side of it. Let's see. If you're not familiar with this program, we welcome your questions and comments. You just type them in. Make sure that you include the year vehicle you have and model, or I can take a guess, best of my ability. But if you're asking a question that requires some detail, please include as much as you can so that I can accurately answer the question. A little bit too much for me to guess. It's a broad spectrum of Jeep models and what people are driving or using. Today's featured products. So I want to show you guys something that I've been asked for a long time. This is a passenger side footrest, and it's adjustable, so you can change the angle. It literally bolts down to your floor. It's got the dimple dies, so you've got good all-weather traction. It's super lightweight, so you're not adding a bunch of weight to your vehicle. It simply bolts down to the floor, and this will fit in a pickup truck, in a Jeep, in a side-by-side, just about anything you've got. Super comfortable. I know it looks big, but it's literally the size of an adult foot, and it gives you plenty of room to spread your feet out. If you're not familiar with something like this, the benefit is the passenger can push themselves back in the seat using their entire back to grip the seat, and in rough terrain, it really helps them stabilize. They don't have a steering wheel to hold on like you do as a driver. So really nice product, and you can find this. I already put it in the new product section over on our website, so check that out when you get a chance. Actually, if any of my sales guys are watching, this is the first time they're seeing it too. So it just got added today. The other new thing I want to show you guys, and I've been asked for this over time. This, if you notice, matches the side of a four-door JK. These are plates that go in around our cargo rack. So if you've got our cargo rack, it can still go up and down, but these add extra security so nobody can reach in there and grab anything out of your storage, your rear cargo area storage. So this would be for under the cargo rack. in addition to grabbing anything, these prevent, as you're out there wheeling, dust, mud, rain, whatever you got, this will just, everything will just slough off from this. By the way, you could still bolt your lock and load down or any other tie down system you have to the top of this. This includes, so there's one of those panels for each side. This, you can see, has a slight radius to it. This is for the tailgate. So when the tailgate closes, it seals up that back area. You get a large one. You get a large one like this that actually drops inside the cargo tray and seals all the big dimpled eye holes so that you don't just have water or dirt or whatever falling through all of the big dimpled eye holes. And then this is, of course, the mating or opposite side to this one here, so that you've got complete seal around the cargo tray. So brand new, also in the new product section on the website. Also already linked to our ACC 1000, our large cargo tray. Super nice. I've been wanting to do that for a while, and finally now done and available. I do have one more product I want to talk about. I literally just got the box, and I'm going to cut this open. This is something that everybody has asked about on the previous lives. So there was a gentleman from American Iron Off-Road. That might be a giveaway as to what this is. But get this out of here. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. A ball joint delete. So I got one. I'm going to install it on the Terremoto, and then I will be able to get back to you with how well it works compared to the ball joints. So this has been asked about many times. It's pretty cool. It's actually got a little uniball, so an FK uniball Heim down inside there. Pretty neat. It looks like it's nice quality. It's got the big beefy bolts. So I will get this installed. Again, that's courtesy of American Iron Off-Road. It just showed up, so we're gonna check that out, and I'll have a report for you. I'll get that installed and have that ready to report back to you on next Tuesday. Okay? All right. Let's go. Do we have any questions so far?
A lot of comments, no questions.
I'm sure. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. I really appreciate you guys following along with this program, and I hope it is very informative for you. Remember, you can type in anything you want. Ask me any question you want, even if it's off topic. I might have to get to it later in the show, but this is all about you guys. So I'm just happy to get you inspired and interested in off-road. Yeah.
Applications on the ball joint deletes.
So I know that he makes them for different model years. This is for the 05 and up. That's what I'm running, is the 05 and up Ford style. I'm not sure if he's got a website. He just reached out to me on Facebook Messenger. So, but he seemed very knowledgeable, and, find him on Facebook or look at his website. And again, I'll get this installed, and I'll get back to you guys with what it takes, how it works. And I know right now my ball joints are beat up pretty bad after the last 3 times of being out to the hammers and really going at race pace or above. And this will be interesting for me to put these in. And then, next time we go, we're going to the hammers to pre-run the entire race course. So those things are going to get a workout. So, yeah. I'll be able to do this. Part of our involvement in racing is that I like about it is it's a rapid R&D platform. So we're just constantly beating the daylights out of this stuff way more than other people would. So it really gives us the ability to give you instant feedback. More questions, or are we doing okay?
Quick one off topic.
Sure.
05 LJ with Highline Fenders. This is Kevin Cavallo.
Okay.
How important are hood vents? Not having any cooling issues, but don't want any either.
Yeah, I can tell you, so if you look at your temperature gauge, it's got those tick marks on there. when you put our hood louvers in there, I don't care if it's the big one or the multi-piece one that we offer, you'll notice your temperature down 1 click from wherever it used to run. And more importantly, when you look out the windshield, on a hot day, you're just gonna see the heat coming out of there. There's a tremendous amount of heat under there. It's good for nothing, by the way. It's overheating, your braking system, your battery, your fuel system. That's a lot of the time how people end up getting vapor locked because the whole fuel rail and everything is so hot that the fuel is literally vaporizing inside the fuel rail. So yeah, you definitely want to get the heat out of there. And some people email me and say, well, what about water getting in? I live in a wet environment or snow or whatever. Well, don't you open the hood and power wash your freaking engine anyways? So look, it's a Jeep. These things are made to go through water. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Everything under there, even the electrical connectors, all have a nice rubber seal, and a little bit of water dripping through the vent on the hood isn't gonna hurt anything. So you'll be fine. All right, more questions or we're good? We'll keep going? All right, so this show is actually all about Warn and Factor 55. Warn acquired Factor 55. They merged in this last year, and Warn is now the official recovery and rigging sponsor of this show. So for 2021, they're nice enough to recognize the benefit of these kind of tech talks. And I'm actually really stoked about that because I happen to like this product. And what I've said in the past, I will only talk about these things that I like. And this is one of the products that I run on my own Jeep. And therefore, it is very easy for me to talk about this. So we're happy to announce that. And thank you for anybody from Warn watching this program. We appreciate your participation. Why Warn? So I've actually had the benefit of touring their facility up in Oregon. And I got to tell you, it's pretty darn nice. When you talk about a good American-made company, it's not a whole lot different than GenRight. They are on a larger scale than we are, that's for sure. They've been around a lot longer than we have. But it's a pleasure to work with those folks. They are all about quality. They want to bring you a good product. And a lot of their stuff either has a lifetime or a limited lifetime warranty. So you as a consumer, that's reassuring that there's somebody there to take care of you. And being the fact that they're located right here in the United States, you can actually pick up the phone and get somebody on the phone. I like that too. That's one of the reasons you should work with GenRight, because we answer the phone here. So more questions right now, or we're doing okay?
We're okay right now.
Okay.
We'll come back to at the end.
All right, I'll keep ripping. One of the things that I want to show you guys today is I actually went on their website and downloaded a whole guide on how to winch, what all the terminology is, what you should and shouldn't do. And this is just a few page PDF that was really easy to download right off of Warn's website. And it's very informative. We're going to talk about some of these things today, and I'll talk about it in more detail if we get questions specifically on it. But very nice reference guide. You can print this out. And we also have a rollover recovery card that's laminated, and upon request we can send those out too. And that's something that you can punch a hole in and put on your keychain or put in your glove box, but somehow keep it in your Jeep, so whether you or somebody you're wheeling with rolls over, it's a good checklist of things like putting it back in gear before you roll it over and the thing takes off. By the way, happens 9 times out of 10 of every recovery I'm involved in, the thing takes off because somebody forgot to do that. So good information there. All right, let's go to the next one. Part of what I wanted to talk about was all of the different models. This is a brand new model that I saw last year at SEMA, And I really have to commend Warren for doing this. They had a bunch of these low dollar import guys coming in and, really kind of polluting their market is the best way I can describe it. This is a low cost winch now that you can buy under the Warren brand name. You don't have to buy some off brand name. I'm not going to mention those off brands, but I don't like them. And, this is a good model. They sell it in a 12, a 10, and an 8K, 8,000 pound rating. There's a regular version and an S version. So some of those have to do with whether it's a wire remote or wireless. And a lot of these have 85 or 90 foot ropes or winch lines on them. Yep.
Speaking of rope and winch line, between cable and synthetic.
What is the difference?
Benefits, advantages.
Yeah, so look, everybody is much more weight conscientious now. This became one of the unforeseen advantages. The original advantage to synthetic was that when it breaks, it just drops, where a cable has like a recoil to it. And, if anybody's in the path, or including your Jeep, by the way, the thing can snap back and hit your Jeep, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It's part of that safety stuff that they've got in here. But the cable, and by the way, cables are very reliable. In all the years I've been out there, I've never seen one break. Never. Okay. It's talked about. Everybody stresses over it. So it is a possibility. The rope is much safer. It is much lighter. This is that unforeseen advantage I was talking about. Everybody's buying our aluminum products because they're lighter. Well, that cable is not exactly light. So going to the synthetic rope, it is a lot lighter and it's just more stable. It's if something happens, it is easier and safer. Okay. So that's the main advantage behind that. All right. Keep going, or we got more questions? Okay. So this model, very inexpensive, very low priced, competitive with any of those other cheap internet brands you've seen out there. And, you can go, I pulled this right off of Warren's website. You can go over there, look at the specs. They've got a beautiful website, lots of information. And one of the things I want to talk about, because I noticed this the last time we were out at the Hammers, is I run what's called the 9.5 CTI. We're going to get there in a second. It has a very fast unloaded line speed, meaning how fast does it roll up? Now, you may say, well, why is that a big deal, Tony? Well, there's a couple of reasons. So one is my co-rider strings out my winch and wraps it around a rock. Well, that time that you're sitting there winching in, waiting for the slack to be taken up, because they always pull more line than you want, right? I'm waiting for that slack to be taken up before I can go. Now, it's different when you're caught on a rock, and you just need to get yourself over it or off of it, or versus you're now hanging on the side of a cliff, right? If you're hanging on the side of a cliff and you want to get out of trouble, well, that line speed is going to matter a lot to you, because when you hit that winch, it's going to zip in and tighten your vehicle up so that you feel safe. So those are all important aspects of how fast you can get yourself out of trouble. And part of that has to do with the mechanics inside here and what that looks like. What's inside here is called a planetary. By the way, that's the exact same thing that's in your transfer case. So, and all winches are not created equal. If you buy a cheap like Harbor Freight winch, well, they'll winch in, but when you stop, they'll also just let it back out. These have a little brake inside that keeps it from doing that. What's your question?
Esther Parent Newcomb, how do you determine what size winch you need?
That's a great question. So part of it depends on the type of winching you're doing. And by the way, over on their website, they've got a great guide for you to determine that. So here's what I can tell you. For a long time, I just used an 8,000 pound winch, and an 8,000 pound winch is fine for you if you're just getting you or your buddy unstuck off, small obstacles, right? Now, if you have to tow your entire vehicle, right, dead. So it's one thing when you talk about, I just need a little help. My wheels are spinning, right? My vehicle's still operational, and I just need to get off this thing, unstuck, out of a jam, whatever that looks like, when you have the assistance of the drivetrain of your vehicle. If your vehicle is dead, it's just dead weight, that's a completely different thing. And in this guide, it actually talks about, which I thought was great, using things to help magnify the power of your vehicle. So, there's different techniques here where you can double and triple up your winch rope, which, by the way, increases its pulling power. So it slows the speed down, but it increases the power. So, there's a lot of, that's called a snatch block. I know the picture's very small, but you can see those in the guide and on their website. We also sell a cool little worn kit that you can just buy one thing and you've got it. It's over on our website and it's under the accessories category. And James, is it just under accessories they'll find it, or is it deeper in accessories? That little worn kit that's got the toe strap and the trail accessories. Okay, so take a look for that. I know a lot of different people sell it, but you're talking to us, so get it from us. The next up is their Xeon series. This is what most people are familiar with. We've got one in a box right here, right now. And this one we've got here is a 12S. So the S being synthetic. And the one we have on the screen is the regular with the cable. This is a really popular model. It's also kind of value priced. And it's a nice looking winch. It's well packaged. It's got a nice casting. It's fairly aerodynamic. So when you got this thing sitting on the front of your Jeep, it's doing a good job. This says here that it's got a 216:1 gear ratio, that planetary that I was talking about, and 80-foot rope. So, or if you get into some of the models can have 100-foot on it. So pretty nice. And if you notice, this is called a roller Fairlead. So that as the cable comes out, it's going over these rollers in any direction. Opposed to a fixed Fairlead like this, this is meant for a rope. So a rope can just drag over this thing in any direction. The rope being the synthetic or nylon rope versus the cable. So the cable, you're always going to want a roller Fairlead like that. And this is your other option, okay? So I'm just kind of talking abroad right here, and you guys can chime in with additional questions that you've got, and we can compare specs and stuff. Again, this is right off of Warren's website, really handy, gives you all the information you'd want. It even tells you how fast the line speed is based on how much weight you're towing. So, because it slows down and it pulls more power. So, by the way, some of these, when you're towing the whole Jeep, are pulling, 400 plus amps. Like, that's why those wires are giant attached to your battery. So, really important. And you, by the way, if you can, you'd like your engine running so that the alternator can keep up with the demand on the battery. All right, so then they've got their Platinum series. And this is nice. This is going to give you extra features. Again, you can check this out on their website. This will be a little bit faster, right? They it's an upgraded version of the Xeon, and a nice addition as well. Okay, then we get into these two versions, right? So this is more of the traditional looking winch. They're saying this is for extreme conditions, and you can go on their website and check out the specs. I see here it's got a 37.5 feet per minute open line speed. And over here on the CTI, this is the one that I run, 47 feet per minute open. So it really pulls that line in. And this is, again, available in cable and synthetic. This is become, at the time, this was kind of their main winch. This is top of the line. This is a 155 or 6 ratio, same on this one for the three gear planetary. So really nice. Price goes with it though, so you're also talking about a little bit more expensive winch. Yep.
You answered which one you run on Terremoto.
Okay.
But what length rope do you recommend?
So I believe this one comes with 100 foot. 100 foot is normal on this, and also on this. So believe it or not, on our race cars, we haven't gotten to that one yet. That one has a 50-foot rope, and you wouldn't believe, man, you get to the end of the drum on that one really fast. And 100 foot is kind of the mainstay. I know some guys will go for like 120, 125 foot. That's a lot of rope and or cable. And you're just adding more up on the front or weight if it's cable. So what other question you got?
Why can't you use the roller with the rope? I'm guessing the synthetic rope.
I think a lot of people get away from it because it's heavy. They're going, and it also sticks out where, the side profile on this is very narrow, right? So you're able to suck this way in, and, it's just a matter of, what you want or don't want on the front of your Jeep. So that's just been kind of adopted that way. More questions?
Should the winch be directly wired to the battery or through a breaker or a fuse?
I've done mine directly with battery. One of the reasons I like this has got a thermometric protection in it. So if you're really using it, and when I say really using it, I've had to winch my way completely out of the Rubicon with a dead vehicle. Like it couldn't propel itself at all. So when you're winching, 75 feet at a time, you heat that thing up a lot. And so you don't burn it up. It's got thermal protection built into it. So just trust me, I've got plenty of experience when it comes to off-road. What else we got?
Stephen Warsh, how does the rope do dragging on the rocks?
So on these, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a little, we call it a rash guard. And that's on top of there. And it slides on the winch line. So you can literally set that thing on part of a rock and the rope will sling through it and it'll stay there. That's super handy. But I'll be honest, I have absolutely abused these things. And like we've literally wrapped them around rocks and hooked them right back to themselves and just really thrashed them. Yeah. You don't have any choice, when we're racing KOH. You don't necessarily have time to get out a strap and, do all the standard rigging. So, over the years, or, if I've had a buddy in trouble, we don't like do all the extra stuff, extra rigging. We just hook that thing on and go. So, I think they hold up pretty darn well, honestly. And I think I've only broken one, and it was because we were winching. We pulled down a rock that fell right on our winch, and I still needed to get unstuck. I kept winching, and the rock cut it. So that's the only one I've ever lost myself. So, more questions?
That covers it for right now.
Okay, we're doing pretty good. Here's the race winch, right? So this is a very compact, lightweight unit, and this one's 32 feet a minute, free spool. Right, so when it's going to pull in, it says it's 54 pounds, so it is very light. And you can move this little control box wherever you want, so on the front of a KOH car where you don't have a lot of room. It's pretty handy. And this only comes with the synthetic rope. So, and this is a 50 foot, like I said. So, a lot of the time, you know, when you're stuck, it doesn't take much to get you undone unless you're having to winch yourself out of, you know, the deep woods somewhere. So, great little unit. That's a 3/8 rope on there. So, we've used the heck out of these over the years.
Did you already ask the dual battery question?
No.
So, great question. I run a dual battery. In the race cars, we run a dual battery. Jamie's building the Growler with a dual battery. I mean, it's a common thing. The Silver Surfer, all of the Tracer builds we do are dual battery. And you got a couple of options. One is you can run with both batteries on when you're winching, so that you've got the extra grunt to make it happen. And that's easier for the alternator to keep up. The other school of thought is you keep it on one battery, and if everything goes haywire, you still have the second battery to go to get yourself out of trouble. There's also, we sell a system called Genesis dual battery, which Shane has on the Wolverine, his yellow 4-door JK, and that constantly is monitoring what's going on, so it'll kick in the second battery or isolate the second battery, so it's a little bit more automatic system, and that's readily available also on our website. So did that answer the dual battery question?
The question was, do you recommend running a dual battery system just to prevent from killing your primary battery?
So if you do a lot of off-roading, at some point you're gonna find yourself with a dead battery. It's almost inevitable. Somebody left the stereo on, somebody left the door open, somebody left the rear cargo light on. Something, you know, you've gone on a camping trip, we've got an ARB fridge, we've got inverters, we got all kinds of stuff, right? So a lot of the time I will isolate all of those things over onto one battery, so that when it comes time to start the Jeep, I just go to the other battery and then I turn it back so it'll charge everything once the vehicle's running. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you have the room, I recommend it. I've told you guys before, I do not keep the battery in the engine compartment. I pull that out and I put those in a very low spot that is not hot. And typically that's behind the driver and passenger seat. Or, you know, even underneath, if you have the room underneath. You just want to get, those batteries are heavy, you want to get them down low and out of the heat. So, yep.
Warren beat you to it, but someone asked the difference between a tow strap and a recovery strap.
Oh, good. Okay. And by the way, I don't know if anybody's asked it, or maybe even Warren's already mentioned it, but you do not hook your winch to someone and just pull. Okay, you don't like just back up your vehicle and pull them. The winch is only for winching. Okay, so it is not to be used as a tow strap or some kind of tug device. It is only for actually winching, or you'll damage the planetaries and everything inside. Okay, so if we beat somebody to that question, but seen plenty damage that way. All right, what else we got? Good questions, guys. I like it.
Kind of more on the dual battery. What gauge wire do you recommend for battery relocation?
I noticed that this says 2 gauge on a lot of their leads.
I think that's what I'm
Yeah, so I know that you can get single aught, which is like welding wire. We use a lot of that in the race cars. 1 gauge, 2 gauge. I certainly wouldn't go any smaller than 2 gauge. So
Yeah, I think I went 2 gauge 1 aught.
yeah, so the smaller the number towards 0, the bigger the wire. So in some future, what we can do, Alex, is we can chop up some wire like we have the tubing and have some samples here and show that off too. But I know on the internet, I'm sure you can Google search and look at wire size and somebody will have that. So, all right. Here we've got a lot more specs. You know, this is also right off of Warren's website, and this allows you to easily compare standard, premium, ultimate, heavy duty. You know, you can look at these things really quick and see what the weight is. You know, you go from, you know, like 55 to 74 pounds to like 83 to 100 pounds, right in that range. The bolt pattern is almost always the same. A lot of these things are interchangeable, and you can see, you know, the line speed change through the different models. It's really easy to see this in here. And when they're loaded up, they all end up going about the same speed when they're loaded up, but it's that unloaded speed that's much faster, and that's what you're after. So, you know, you start getting up into the, like, it's literally twice as fast, okay? So, and if you don't think it matters, no problem, save a buck. I mean, most people seldomly use their winch, right? So a lot of people have trouble justifying the cost, but let me tell you, the day you need it, it's priceless, right? So it's that good old saying, right? So, you know, spend a little bit of extra money, make sure that when you do need it, and by the way, check it, you know, before you need it, right? It's one of those things. The other thing I always advise people is make sure it's ready. When you get to go on the trail, whether you have a regular wired kind, plug that stuff in and be ready. Don't store that in the back of the Jeep and then you're in trouble or somebody else is in trouble and you're back there digging through your stuff or hanging on the side of a cliff, okay? Yep.
Mike Stewart asked, are they rebuildable?
I know that you can send these back for service to Warren. So that's one of the benefits of not buying a Chinese-made winch that, you know, you have no idea who to even email. You know, these are people you can call. So
I don't think you covered I mean, maybe you did, but making sure it's spooled right so that when you go to pull it out, it's not like wrapped backwards.
yeah, no, we haven't gotten there. I wasn't sure how much time we're going to have. We're 40 minutes in, so I was trying to make sure I had a bunch of the questions answered. But Jamie's got a good point. Let me back up and see if I can see. You know, when you look at the way the winch is spooled, and I don't know if it's easier to see on here, Alex, or on here. Is that one easier?
Yeah, on the box.
So for everybody watching, this is called the drum, and that's what the winch line wraps around. And when you pull the winch line out, you have to make sure that you have a full wrap. You never pull it past that. You've got to have some winch line on the drum at all times, okay? And part of what we were talking about before was when synthetic line first came out, they had a lot of trouble where that drum was getting hot and it was melting on there. So I know Warren and a lot of companies have worked hard to either come up with rope that will withstand the heat or ways to insulate it so that didn't happen. Next is you always want the rope to go in on the bottom of the drum. That way your controller will go in and out in the proper direction. It's not made to go on the top, it's made to go on the bottom. Then when you look at a rope like this on the drum, you want to make sure it's wound in very nice and you actually want to put some tension on it. When we first do a winch line, and by the way, when your winch comes, the rope is usually off of it in the box. So you put it on, then you put it on your vehicle. When you roll that in, we always put some tension. In fact, we use the weight of the Jeep. So we'll attach the rope to something stationary, and then we'll haul the Jeep under its own weight and watch this and guide it in so it wraps really nice. Okay, so when you're out on the trail, a lot of the time you're not really paying attention to this. A lot of the time you're in trouble or somebody else is in trouble. So you're just winching the line in. When you're done, you get back home, you want to pull this out and re-wrap that really nicely, okay? That way you'll keep your line, your winch, everything will be in the best operating condition, okay? Because we've had many times where we go to pull the line out, the guy is like, I've even had it happen to me, you know. I helped somebody else and now I'm stuck and we can't get the line out. And that's a real problem. By the way, I've developed some pretty cool techniques on how to get around that, where we've had somebody's winch line jammed, and I would wrap it around one of the tow hooks. I'd tell the guy to winch it in, I'd get a little slack, do it some more, do it some more, do it some more to get it unjammed, and then we're able to pull the line. So when you're in bad situations, you can get pretty creative. So did that answer? Hopefully that answered that question. Let's see what else we had here. We were talking about some specs again. All of it. Oh, so here's something new. So they've got a brand new app where you can control your winch from your phone. So a while ago, Warren came out with this wireless receiver that you could control your winch through this little remote. The problem is nobody ever charged the remote. But what do people charge? They charge their phone. And it's charged almost all the time, and they've got the right cords and everything in their Jeep to charge their phone. So Warren cleverly said, hey, let's use an app and just have your phone do it. So you can download the app, and I'm gonna get one here and be able to demonstrate it for you guys. I just wanted to tell you about it, and it's got these are the little receivers that you plug in line, and it's actually pretty cool. So it's neat, and they even make one for one of the competitors' winches. I was kind of surprised to see that. Let's see what else we got here. So this is, if you go to their website, you can actually read a little bit about it and see. It tells you how your battery's doing, tells you where you're going in and out. It's got some other details on it that is nice because you got a screen on your phone versus a button in your hand. So anyways, kind of a neat deal, and we're going to be talking about that more as we go through. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so let's actually back up for a second and stay on the winch and accessories and stuff. So like I mentioned before, Warren and Factor 55 merged in this last year, and Factor 55 is also another American-made company. I met the owner, Mike, many years ago. Super nice guy. They're famous for making these, safety, what they called thimbles originally. They were round, and this one's a flat link. Yes. So this is it went from the safety thimble, and I know we've got one in the studio here someplace, but this is a really nice unit. And what I like about this particular one is it's got rubber on it. The original flat link did too, but it stuck out. So when you winched it in, this thing stuck out on the front of your Jeep, and if you came into something, it would just beat it to death. Now they were strong, but it didn't look nice anymore. This one folds over nice and flat up against the Fairlead. On here? Is there? Jamie's telling me there's a picture of it somewhere on here. And it's super nice. I mean, you can see how the hook, folds in too, right? But a lot of the time, and the reason they have this little strap on here is because people keep getting their fingers sucked in. So obviously your finger doesn't stand a chance on a winch. It's like a meat grinder. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So there's the flat link on there. This is even a different one. This has got the round end on it, where this one's got the end with the cutout, so you can slip your D-ring through there. And we use D-rings, soft shackles. There's a whole bunch of things. And by the way, you can see all this stuff over on our website. They're available in different colors. This is the top of the line, what they call the ultimate hook, and you can put stuff through the end. You can clip stuff on. It's got the rubber. It's really nice. And if you're a really tricky guy and you know that you always put it in like this, they make this little cover so you can get rid of the rubber. This pops on and it protects the winch rope from you running into stuff and it getting damaged. So they make that. It's kind of universal. It fits on any of these now, so it's really nice. All right, so Factor 55, they do tree straps, toe straps, soft shackles, all these hooks, the Fairleads, lots of good stuff. If you've never checked that out, we've got a ton of it over on our website. We use it on every GenRight Jeep, on our race rigs. That is our go-to company, also American made. So you know how we feel about that. All right, more questions?
Terry, why wife asked, he said, I've never used that type. Tell me more about those versus a standard hook.
So these, Factor 55, when they first machine these, they're machined out of a high grade aircraft aluminum. The pins are titanium, and originally these got really popular when you can use them on a cable, but a lot of guys with the ropes are using them. And this pin, you pop a clip out of the end and the pin slides out and you can slide your stuff in there. They're just, it's a lot nicer because you can keep your fingers out of there. And it's just a lot safer. And they've got all these different attachment types, so you can kind of choose the one that's best for you. There's this round one here that if you're just using a soft shackle or a D-ring, that one, you put the end of the D-ring through and you thread it through. This one, you can slip the D-ring through. And then this one, you can clip onto a strap, you can, grab onto anything.
Clips on that D-ring.
Sure, it will. Yeah, this one's just like anything you got. I mean, even like when we go to the winch rope itself, we just clip it on here. And the nice part about this is it's all machined really nice. It's got radiuses, so there's no sharp edges that are gonna cut your winch rope or winch line or put some kind of a stress riser in it. It's just really nicely made product. So if you've never checked those out, I certainly would. A lot of people are turned on because they come in a bunch of different colors. This very utilitarian looking color is a hard anodize. This is the toughest. This is like a case hardening on steel. Like you can drag this across a lot of stuff. This is really tough. And they've got a bunch of different things laser marked on here, different information to help you if you're not familiar with winching, to give you some guidance as well. So more questions on that, guys? No?
Bob and Wilmy had one on where you'd recommend mounting an in-cab control.
In-cab control, that's a great question because I just saw this happen. Somebody was on an obstacle and they had their harnesses on and they couldn't reach forward to get it on the dash. So you got to think ahead. You either need to move your seat up or put that stuff in an area where you can reach it.
I think you're right next to the steering wheel.
Yes, yeah, it's got to be. And obviously you want to make sure the driver is going to be, because you need to winch and drive at the same time, right? So you want to make sure that it's in a location that's really easy for you to winch and drive, because you can't winch a little and drive a little, winch a little and drive a little. You can drive a lot faster than it can spool in. So you want to make sure that you're able to really do that. And that's a great question because it's commonly overlooked. And that does need to be a momentary switch, right? So like in the Terremoto, I've got an on-off switch that activates the winch, and then I've got an in-out with a center position that does nothing. So you definitely want to make sure that you get that correct. And there's a couple of companies, I think 12 volt man or something like that sells a little kit that even has like pre-made plates that plug into your dash in certain spots, like where the ashtray is. And you can then operate it on and off, and it's got like safeties on it and stuff. So pretty nice. And some even go as far as to have lights or lighted switches that when it's on, hey, it's active, and if somebody bumps that, it's going to be winching in or out. So all good ideas, by the way, knowing that your equipment is on, that if you've got little kids or something, you don't want them in there bumping that stuff and causing any trouble. Certainly if the winch is all the way in like this and you're standing on the control, it's going to pull 400 amps and sooner or later burn up something. So keep that in mind. Okay. What else?
White. What is the deal with winching your front end down to your front axle?
Great question. So a lot of the time when you go up something, depending on how your vehicle is set up, and this is why we're always talking about anti-squat. So a lot of vehicles, when they go up something, the rear end squats down and the front end comes up, and that makes the vehicle feel very unstable. You get to that point where you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, if you suck the front end down, what it does is it's like putting a guy on the front bumper. Your front axle's very heavy. So it helps to not only keep the front end, from just lifting up inadvertently, but it helps to add some extra weight and help you feel more stable as you go up over the obstacle. So that's what people do. Now, you can't forget, right? You got to let that out. Remember I told you before, you can't just yank somebody going down the trail and haul them out like a tow strap. Well, if you forget and your front end is yanking on that winch as you're going down the trail, it's going to damage it. And you got to be real careful. So I would recommend that you do that in extreme situations, or if you're on a tough trail the whole day, you go unhook it, go a little more, rehook it. Just be diligent about that so you don't damage your winch. But great question. Yep.
Esther Perduca, what do you recommend to clean your Wintro?
I think they actually just recommend soap and water.
Yeah, Warren replied and said soap and water, dip it in sections.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously you want to get the grit out of there. It's like sandpaper, right? Yeah. So keep it clean, and it doesn't take a whole lot of maintenance. And obviously, if it's sitting like that, where it's all spooled up, and maybe you went through some mud, it's easier to clean off. But if you've had it out and dragging through the mud, then that's a different thing. You're going to need to, clean it pretty thoroughly.
Dan Helvig, something like that. How long should the wireless controller maintain charge for? Warren Zion. Mine dies after about 3 weeks of non-use, and then someone else said the same thing. They're like, I'm wondering that too.
That's probably about normal. That's got a really tiny little battery in it, and it's the kind of thing that if you're going out, you either need to have it plugged in your vehicle, or you charge it the night before, and or a day before, or on your way to the Rubicon or wherever you're going wheeling. But you definitely want to make sure that thing has a charge, because you will be quite disappointed when you get there and you got nothing. So, and I have had it with guys where we were able to get it plugged in for a few minutes and get it operational, but it's a tense few minutes while you're waiting. So again, the whole reason why they're coming out with that hub, because everybody keeps their phone charged and it literally operates the same way. So.
Stephen Borch, if you run a smaller size lift kit, will it help keep the front end from popping up when climbing?
Well, just putting a winch on, you're going to add anywhere from 58 to 100 pounds on the front. So that's.
I think he's asking, like, if you just have a less of a lift, does it help keep the front end from?
Oh, no, that is 100% dependent on geometry and how you have your vehicle loaded. So if you're the kind of person that has a spare tire and a rack for your cooler and your high lift jack and all that crap stacked on the back, including a hard top and, lots of camping gear, I'm telling you that thing's gonna wheelie no matter what you do, okay? So you either need to relocate that stuff further forward in the vehicle, or get rid of it altogether, or get used to doing the suck down winch and making it feel, halfway decent. But that is all dependent on suspension geometry and the way you load your vehicle. Yep. And your wheelbase. Yeah.
When is a good time, or how often should you replace your winch line?
So the question was, how often should you replace your winch line? They can get sun damaged. I know that, the newer ones are better about that, and Warren does make covers for their winches. So if you're not familiar with that, you can get a cover, especially if you're in that muddy, nasty condition where, the rope, or just plain old in the sun. So you really got to keep an eye on it, whether it's a winch cable or a winch rope. If it's got very little use, it's going to be fine. But if it looks weathered or damaged, then it might be time. And I know you can buy a spare rope. You could carry it with you. You could put the new one on and carry your other one as a backup. There's lots of cases where, if you're going on a big trip, then play it safe. And but you're going to get several years of use out of that without having to worry about it. But it's if you look at the life cycle of things like hoses are good for 5 years. So that's a pretty good interval for a lot of these things. I think a cable, given that it's not damaged, I mean, that can last for years and years and years. But a synthetic, 5 years is probably a good increment if you're using it. So, all right. We are down to the last couple minutes, guys, and gals. So get in those last few questions. Meantime, I am going to go forward and talk about, if you're happy with this program and you like watching videos, please go over to our YouTube and check that out. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like and share GenRight, this program, everything associated with what we're doing. You can actually even share this broadcast with your Facebook friends just by going to the share button and hitting that. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday. So you can, while you're on the GenRight Facebook account, hit the live notifications. So every time I go live, it'll give you a notification and pop up on your phone or your computer. So that's pretty handy. But we also do a lot on Instagram. Obviously, you're on Facebook. And we've got thousands of videos over on YouTube. So everything from product videos to tech videos to just out Jeep wheeling videos. So check those out, and that'll give you hours of entertainment for sure. Do we have any couple last minute questions?
Couple last minute
Okay.
questions. Bobby Belomi, thoughts on removing inner fenders on JKU? He was talking about heat earlier.
Yeah, I don't run them on Terremoto. There again, we talked about hood vents, and you just want that heat out of there. By the way, last year, I don't know if you guys have followed me for very long, but I wheeled for 69 days around the United States. Most of when you leave the West Coast is muddy and crappy. And I never, ever, ever, in all the mud, muck, pouring rain I wheeled in, had a problem with stuff in the engine compartment. So I think that's a bunch of hooey, and I wouldn't worry about it. So there you go.
Chris Larson, 2010 JKU 4-door. Can the large basket be set low enough for full function of the soft top and also store my spare 40 Nitto tire under it?
That's a great question. So as you've seen on the Terremoto, I've got a 40-inch tire underneath there, and yes, it can be, it's adjustable. So once you mount it, you get 3 inches of adjustment with the holes that we provide. You can drill new holes, you can change the mounts. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And it will work with a soft top, absolutely. So even the one that's angled, the more Trek top looking one. Yep.
Ray Jones, 2018 JLUR with 3.5-inch rock crawler factor lift kit. Can I order Curry GenRight spec axles and high steer kit to work with Curry lift now and then get them to work with the Elite system later?
You can. You might have to buy a second set of brackets, right? Because you're gonna put all the factory brackets on to work with that kit, and then you'll go back and take those off. It's not a big deal. The bracket kit's probably $400 or $500 to put all the factory brackets on. Yeah, because you got all the spring mounts and everything. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. So our bracket kit is a lot more simple because you're going coilovers. So, but yes, it can be done. You just, so it's a little bit extra investment. Yep. But yeah, and I've got 3 guys sitting over there ready to take your calls. So call in.
Kyle Fickler, did you already cover stretching a new rope or cable? Joined very late.
No, we didn't. And the only thing that I did talk about was winding it under tension, which is kind of like doing that. But yeah, that's also a common thing to pre-stretch that. And you want to do that without the actual stress of recovering somebody, right? That could be jerky.
Usually we just hook ours to a trailer and put the Jeep in neutral.
Yeah, and or you could do it on a little bit of an incline, but when you're recovering somebody, sometimes it's they give it a little gas, they break free, then it tightens up again. So yeah, you definitely want to keep that in mind, and it is one of the tips on Warren's guide that you can download off their website as well. Yep.
We got a bunch of questions coming in, so I'm just going to keep going.
Okay, yeah, as long as we got questions.
97 TJ, I'm getting the best top, Trek top with the slanted rear. Will your cage work with that top?
It will. You need to call in, talk to my guys. They've got a lot of experience on this. You may or may not have to. We have a little adapter for some of the models of tops. Andrew has one of those on his Jeep, and all he had to do was trim this little bow inside. But call in, talk to my guys. They'll be able to help you.
Gallery for Andrew's Jeep with that top.
There's a gallery that we just uploaded today. It's an LJ, but same top and same cage. So you can check that out for sure. Yep.
Kevin Cavallo, will you review the road mirrors on the ball joint deletes as well as the trail?
I certainly will. You bet. Yeah, I'm going to pay close attention to those because I know I'm curious, and I know there's a lot of people curious about that. So we'll see what all is involved. I'm also going to document very well what it takes to install them because if it's a tough install, I want to tell you guys.
Frank, break question from earlier. 15 JKU on extreme 60s, running 37, soon to be 40s. Will the R1 slotted rotors and aggressive pads be enough to get safe stopping distance or better than stock? Or do I need to upgrade 1K per corner upgrade calipers?
No, the R1 rotors, and again, I would recommend the slotted ones and their off-road pads will give you a solid 30% better braking. So you should find that more than acceptable, and it's certainly noticeable. So I think you'd be fine there. You go to the fancy ones, the big brake kit, and you're talking about like twice the stopping power, so a couple 100% difference. So
David Cundy, best ball joints for JK.
So look, I'm all about the genuine Dana Spicer. And I know people try other stuff, and that's fine, but that's what you'll find on my vehicles.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Great job, everybody. I appreciate all the questions. I know we've just scratched the surface on winches and recovery, so we'll have more as time goes on. Since Warren's a part of what we're doing, and as new parts show up and stuff, I will definitely talk to you about it. Thank you all for joining me. I will see you next Tuesday for another Tech Talk.